going?
Welcome to this new edition of the Fine Wine, the September Fine Wine Club. A couple of months ago, we've asked you, what you wanted to see or hear, when it comes to the Fine Wine Club, and we've heard you guys.
Yeah, so we have changed the format this month for you to watch this live tasting on demand in your own time at your leisurely pace.
When Em and I are putting this, wine selection together, again, the purpose of the Fine Wine Club is to feature, the best wines all winemakers have, put together. So it's really, I think, an amazing opportunity to taste their craft, to taste their knowledge, how they embrace, the region they are in, the terroir, and so on.
Oh yes, Gypsy Caravan.
Gypsy Caravan.
Oh, I'm going to do the honours because you've just really got back from France. So I'm sure you opened a lot of champagne.
Yeah, well, way too much. I can tell you, with the Olympics, there were a lot of celebrations going on.
Oh yeah.
So a lot of champagne. But when it comes to champagne, this is not champagne, but this is pretty much as close as it gets. For me, when we are in Tassie, we are close to Launceston, we are close to the Tamar River, and when it comes to sparkling wine in Australia, Tasmania, is where I would really recommend you to go, guys. Some of the finest sparkling drops you can get in Australia. So Cynthia and David, they are, literally, where all most recognized winemakers over there. Lovely family.
Beautiful part of the world.
Beautiful part of the world. And I remember visiting these guys years ago. It's one of the most beautiful locations. So if you are ever going to Tassie, if you are ever going to close to Launceston, go and visit those guys. This is such a unique site. You will love it. What about this wine?
Oh my gosh, well we actually cheers.
Yeah.
Cheers, here's to spring around the corner. We had David come in to HQ and do a tasting with our team. And I think the biggest call out with this wine, and I think Gypsy Caravan across the board, is everything is so involved. They spend so much time, so much, TLC into making every single one of their wines. The sparkling is all hand riddled, hand disgorged. I think Dave was saying he's got scars to prove all the hand disgorging he's done over the years, which if anyone's not sure what that is basically the process where they freeze after it's been riddled and all the yeast cells are at the neck of the wine. They freeze the neck of the wine, they pop off the crown seal and the dead yeast cells are shot out, and then they top it up, reseal it. So it's
handcrafted.
It's handcrafted for sure. So that was the biggest call out, and also just the time taken to create what's in this glass, like 18 months on lees.
At least 18 months at least. Yeah. And so this is made with a method traditionnel, and it's all about time. And I think this is also a tribute to what Naked is all about, what all winemakers are all about. So there's no financial pressure, for Cynthia and David. So they can really age the wine, in their cellar, put them on lees as long as they want, so that then they can release the wine when it's good to drink. And I think this is really amazing when you compare that with larger brands, who have financial pressure, and then they will release the wine, whenever, they need cash, sort of say. So here what you get is a wine that has been pretty much cellar for you. We are looking at the 2021 vintage, Reaper of a vintage in Tassie, especially for Pinot Noir. So this is 100% Pinot Noir here. But what a smell already.
Oh my gosh, it's
so
just
charming.
So gorgeous, isn't it? So pretty. I mean, that's pretty typical for 100% Pinot in a champagne style like this. Really, really pretty lifted aromatics, and then on the palate it's bright and crisp and beautiful fine beads, but because it's had all that time on lees, it's so textured and actually a little bit complex as well, which is really
some layers
enjoyable.
Into it,
yeah,
100%.
Yeah.
Which makes this wine very, very versatile. When it comes to food. You know, a lot of people enjoy, you know, sparkling wine for a celebration, and please do so. As an aperitif, that's amazing. But a wine like this with, you know, such a complexity, some layers and nuances, you know, in terms of aromas, would be an amazing wine to be paired with a lot of different type of dishes. Personally, I love sparkling rosé. It's a little tip that I've learned in Asia, but try this with any type of sushi or sashimis.
Yeah.
Because you get
saltiness
the saltiness of the soy sauce as well. That will put forward the berries that you have there. It's not you know, a punch in your face, you know, full of berries and so on. It's pretty delicate there. So with some sushi sashimis, try this. This is an absolute banger with this.
Oh, that's a hot tip. I haven't learnt that one. Stunning.
Very nice length into this. So this is, you know, you can really appreciate again the time, the methodology, and this is what differs, you know, like very entry level sparkling wines to those handcrafted gems, is the length of this. It's a sparkling wine, right? So this is pretty vinous, and I love that. Vinous, it's all the wine characteristics. So really, it's about the balance, it's about the body, it's about the mouthfeel, and it's about also the length that you have here. And this wine has actually all those four components here.
Yeah.
So wine, sometimes when we speak about champagne, we speak about a wine of champagne. And I feel like, you know, even though this is an amazing bottle of sparkling wine, this is a wine first and foremost.
Definitely. Well put. And another important thing, and this might seem pretty standard with sparkling wine across the board, to pop it into a flute. But there's a few reasons why we do that. One of the reasons, because it's got all of these beautiful, delicate aromats, you want to keep that within the glass so that when you do smell it, it actually does pop straight out. It also keeps the bubbles maintained in the glass, and it also, you want to have sparkling wine like well chilled. So if you have it in a larger glass with more surface area, it's going to warm up a lot quicker than keeping it in a flute. So I have actually just purchased a bunch of sparkling wine. I used to just pop it in this and I'd be like, yeah, whatever. But it makes such a difference, and especially with a handcrafted sparkling wine like Gypsy Caravan, you definitely want to look after it in a flute.
Exactly, that's a good point. Whereas, you know, some older, I guess, sparkling, you know, wines. I mean, we have Jean-Philippe Moulin sparkling. Yeah. Don't hesitate to try it, you know, in a white wine glass. This way, you will get even more aromas, you know, because the glass will be larger. But don't wait too much, you know, with the wine in your glass. Otherwise, you know, it won't have a lot of bubbles left after a few seconds. So, good tasting experience to try that in different wine glasses. This is perfect for this one. What do we have? Oh, Rob, excellent. R.Paulazzo, single vineyard, Tumbarumba, Chardonnay, 2023. It says even on the bottle, on the label, limited release. It's a very, very small batch of Chardonnay, so it's less than 6,000 bottles. This is what Rob's, does best, really. So you're looking at cool climate, Chardonnay here, acclaimed by your angels. This is probably one of the first Chardonnay I had the chance, you know, to taste when I got here, and I was so surprised with this wine. And well, let's taste it again.
Yeah, let's taste it. Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh.
Beautiful smell. With some hints of peach, with some white fruits into this, and you get some
lots of stone fruit,
you know, some minerality in. So minerality, it's like almost some like some flint stone, some you get some gunpowder, a little bit very delicate. It's not over
like
powerful.
A wet stone, yeah.
Wet stone, exactly. Some hints of, you know, brioche as well. Yeah. Same thing. Toast.
Yeah, a little bit of grapefruit as well.
Yeah.
Like it's something a little bit brighter and citrus. And then I'm just excited to see what the palate has.
Lovely. I've understood that it's not really easy to appreciate Chardonnay when you don't know much about this. There's always some sort of a risk. You're like, okay, is this going to be sort of a lean, very acidic, what we call Chablis style?
How do I identify what? If it's going to be big and
big,
bold,
buttery, and so on. There's a whole spectrum when it comes to Chardonnay.
Yeah.
And I think, or tell me what you think, but about this one, where would that sit? In between, this sort of a Chablis, lean, straightforward style, and something that is pretty big and buttery.
She's in the middle. She's in the middle. She's probably on the leaner side. I mean, one thing to always think about when you're looking at Chardonnay is look at the region, because the region is going to tell you a lot about what the winemaker could do with a Chardonnay.
100%.
Because this is a cool climate region, Tumbarumba, and the fruit is brighter, it is lighter, so to speak, and it does have those flinty notes. So if there was a really big whack of oak in here and really heavy on the buttery side of things, that fruit's they're not gonna talk those two characteristics. So that kind of technique's probably not going to support the fruit in that way. So always look at the region, and kind of your warmer climates are going to give that richer texture and fruit and more riper fruits. This, what I love is that it is on the leaner side of things, but what Rob has cleverly done is put just the right amount of oak support in there, and just the right amount of techniques to give texture, a little bit of creaminess, but also there's that nutty characteristic that I really love in Chardonnay as well. So it's kind of like you've got the best of both worlds.
Yeah, I couldn't say it better. I think this is pretty much right in the middle. But as you said, you really get those characteristics of a cool climate, so lovely acidity, some hints of flintiness and so on. And as you said, Rob has given it, what he calls the royal treatment.
Oh yeah.
So these are the finest grapes, very, very sort of careful and light sort of winemaking techniques. Having said that, the wine has spent some time in oak. You can feel that a little bit in the aromatics with some toastiness and so on, but it's very delicate. It's not powerful. And just because, again, you wanted to let the fruit shine, and I think this is what you get here. You drink a sparkling wine, you really want it to be, chilled, pretty fresh and crisp. When it comes to Chardonnay, give them, some time, give them some air, and also this is a wine, I wouldn't necessarily drink that at room temperature, but I'd love to see how it's going to evolve in 10 to 15 minutes, so that you can really get the full scope of aromas and the real potential of a wine like this. Amazing to drink now, but I think this is a wine that, we discussed that with Rob, that will age very, very well in the bottle for at least 5 to 10 years. So don't hesitate to grab a few of these, keep some, and every sort of year, you crack one open. Exactly.
It's the best process. Buy a 6-pack and then kind of put them in the back of the cupboard, but every year you kind of just pull one out. And Adam Barton was in the office last week, and he was saying that's the best thing about aging wine is pull one out every year, because you get to see the journey. If you just wait the 10 years, you miss what happens to the wine in the middle, because wine's alive and it changes all the time. And the other thing of what you're saying about it warming up, and kind of opposite to the sparkling, get a big surface area glass, and that's why we've got the big, I call these bell-bottom glasses. Not only does it help it warm up, but it also helps all of the complexity open up, and you get to really enjoy every single piece of this wine and all of the techniques that Rob's put in to make this Chardonnay.
Little experience you can do at home just to see the difference is to pour a little bit of that Chardonnay in a flute, and then in a big glass, probably as big as it gets, and as big as you can find, and you will see exactly what Em is telling you about. It's sort of it's all about details, same as in the winemaking and so on. And you want, when you have a wine of that quality, to have a glass that will enable all those details to be perceived. We touched on aging wines. Don't hesitate to age your white wines as well. Not necessarily your Sauvignon Blanc and so on, but I'm thinking about Semillon, I'm thinking about Chardonnay. Definitely, some varietals that are worth keeping for a few years. in your cellar, you'll be amazed by how much complexity and new aromas those wines will tend to develop with age. Yes, an incredible drop. I'm a big fan of Chardonnay, and this is one that,
is that
I
your
very
style?
very yeah, I love it because again, when it comes to versatility with food, and also
Totally.
because you're welcoming 5-6 people at your place.
Oh
You're
yeah.
like, ooh, it's a crowd pleaser.
Totally.
It's a crowd pleaser. We're coming back to Rob's wine because we've told you that this is a wine that would benefit, having a little bit more hair and also warm it up. Exactly. So what do we have now? What do we taste? Interesting. Again, more as expected. You get a little bit more, complexity straight away. That sort of white fruit character has not disappeared. It's less prominent. It's giving way to some other
sitting a
characteristics.
bit more in the background.
Exactly. Yeah.
Those nutty characteristics like almond, hazelnut is definitely more at the forefront.
100%.
And you can almost smell the creaminess. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm going, my palate's going to experience something creamy now.
Yeah, and you
still acidity. You can still smell that brightness and like kind of almost like apple. It's very similar to when we first tried it, but those stone fruit flavors have just kind of toned down.
What I love now, it still sits very well in the middle, in between a new type of lean Chablis style and a big buttery Chardonnay. Really fits that space here. What would you have that with in terms of food?
I just go roast chalk.
Yeah? Okay.
Roast chalk, which sounds really basic, but with Shardy, or kind of a rule of thumb I always think about is complex wine, simple foods.
Yeah.
And roast chalk is just like a banger.
What do you
have?
I would love that. I did half side of salmon the other day on the barbecue.
Of course you did, yeah.
Just like that. You don't touch it. You put it in a barbecue, 10 minutes, and it's slightly gently being cooked. And with this, 100%.
Yeah.
Or cheese.
Yeah, just cheese.
Cheese. Like goat cheese with a wine like this with the acidity.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Oh yeah.
Pinot Noir.
Strathbogie Ranges.
Oh yeah.
Excellent.
By Kate and Nina from Two Pairs. Cooler climate. Probably within Australia as well. Strathbogie Ranges isn't as well known as areas like Yarra Valley, Mornington Peninsula for Pinot, but definitely producing some absolute standout Pinots because pretty similar in terms of climate. I think the main thing with this Pinot, it's to give it a one-liner, is it's a classic. It's got all of the characteristics that you would expect of a Pinot Noir, which we may as well try.
Yeah, and I think it's important for you guys to know that in the past years there's a real sort of trend for Pinot, and it's been harder and harder to find Pinot in Australia, find good Pinot Noir, and to find good Pinot Noir at the right price. And I think we've just said classy. If you go, and I don't want you to go in other retail shops and so on, but what you will find on the market, Pinot Noir is usually very, very expensive. To get a wine like this at this price is absolutely mind-blowing, knowing again how much care and effort there is behind this wine by Kate and Nina, something awarded winemakers who have worked a lot with Pinot Noir. Very interesting because we speak a lot about Pinot Noir and here internally, but also with you guys, the Angels. It's one of the toughest grapes to grow.
Oh my gosh, right? It's known as the princess.
The princess. So you have usually when you speak with winemakers who are growing Pinot Noir, they're like, well, they are usual kind of winemakers and they are Pinot Noir winemakers. And this is true. This is really a varietal that is hard to grow, that is pretty difficult and requires a lot of work in the vineyard. So I think this is important to appreciate that when you drink Pinot Noir.
Everything's very careful, and
Yes.
you know, you've got to from the moment it's, you know, little buds on the vine to the moment it gets into the winery, everything's very careful. And whenever I hear winemakers speak about Pinot, it's almost like everyone's tiptoeing
Exactly.
around the Pinot and what you
all
get
the
in
way,
the glass.
exactly,
Yeah.
all the way to what you get in the glass. Probably one of the only varietals that you can easily recognize, you know, just by the color.
Yeah.
So you can see through, and I mean, this is no contradiction with this gorgeous, you know, color here. And in the smell, I've just put my nose in there. It's absolutely stunning.
It's a whole bouquet of awesome kind of red fruits and a little bit of spice and a little bit of like brambliness actually.
Yeah, I got
and a bit of
earthiness.
stewed kind of fruits as well. And again, going back to the glass, Pinot glasses, you want to have a nice big bell bottom as well, because it's grown in a cool climate, so it's got that natural high acidity, yet the wine has so much going on with it. There's so much complexity that goes on in Pinot, everything from bright red fruits to earthiness to savoury. You want to be able to show that straight from the smell, because smell and our nose and our palate are connected, so it kind of prepares you.
100%. What a wine. And I mean, classy is a word, delicate is another word for that wine. This is 2022, so the wine you know, is 2 years old now. Again, amazing aging potential. I love the acidity. I love how clean the fruit is, how fresh this feels as well. But as you said, there's this really nice backbone of you know, oomph, you know, some it has some character still, this wine, and I really love that. Typical from Victoria, I guess this earthy hints, you know, and so on. I mean, what a wine. Same thing, super food friendly. With
extremely long finish as well. Nice medium bodied, really. Like you kind of look at the color and you think it's going to be a lot lighter than what it is, but like you say, that oomph there. You actually do want to have some food with this.
Charcuterie.
Yeah, that's the first thing that I thought of. I was like,
Chicken,
I need
liver,
meats,
pate,
because it's almost got. I mean, that's a great thing about Pinot too. When you age it, it gets this awesome kind of gamey, meaty, like fleshy
100%,
characteristic to it as well. So if you pop that on, if you have this with a charcuterie board, that's bang on. But also some like hard vintage cheddar cheese, olives, like, you know, the whole lot, not just, you know, meat.
I'll get the chook on this one.
You get the chook on this one because it's complex.
Exactly. You know, some nice pork fillet as well. You know, it can handle that.
I'd have this with Asian dishes.
Yes.
Yeah. Spicy food. Actually, really great with Pinot because it's got that nice bright fruits.
Fruit.
Yeah.
100%. One tip on this one, it's probably worth decanting that wine.
Yeah.
So this is my little tip for decanting. That again I was given by you know, very old, you know, grumpy French winemaker, but you know, was a winemaking legend. So I kept that tip. Is decant your young wines. Don't necessarily decant, you know, your old wines. You can do that in order to, for the old wine, for the very old vintages, to make sure you don't have, you know, the lees, you know, pouring to the glassware. So it's not an exercise where you want to give an old wine, you know, more hair. But this is what, you know, decanting brings to a young wine like this. It brings automatically some extra aging, right? So 1 hour or half an hour in decanter will tend to boost all the complexity that this wine has to reveal. And again, use the right glassware, because that's stunning in this setup. 100%.
And you could even lightly chill that as well.
Yeah.
You could pop it in the fridge 20 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Happy days.
Engine room. Here it is. That's a stunning drop as well. Engine room. This is the Reserve McLaren Vale Old Vine Grenache.
How old?
90 plus.
90
like
years. Yeah. I just wanted to see none.
Just it's great to have the Pinot to compare. Just look at the difference in terms of color.
these are great friends. Like, as in, if you love Pinot, you are likely to love Grenache and vice versa. I think.
100%.
Why is that?
Yeah. It's also, I mean, this is not the case for all Grenaches, and again, it depends on the style of Grenache. It depends on the winemaker, sort of, you know, whether the winemaker is doing sort of a more hands-on or hands-off, you know, winemaking technique, and also where the Grenache is from.
Yeah.
But usually, again, if you were to compare Grenache in terms of color, this will be a bit more purple, a bit more, a bit darker, not as light as the Pinot Noir, which is interesting because, you know, you can still see through.
You can.
This wine. Again, you get more purple, you know, hues on this one. Usually when, you know, you're looking at Grenache, depending on where it's from, you know, the winemaking technique and so on, it can be a bit, you know, much darker. And today, this one, you can still see through it. As you said, that gives you a hint of, you know, the body of the wine as well, the age also. But as you said, Grenache it's not necessarily a big stretch from Pinot Noir and vice versa. It's some say, you know, that Grenache and Gamay are, you know, Pinot Noir with a smile. It does make sense because Pinot Noir it's so funny, a genuine wine for, you know, wine lovers. You know, you have a lot of delicacy, a lot of you know, layers and so on, but it's not necessarily for everyone, right? Yeah. Where you get, you know, Grenache will get a little bit more sort of jubiness, a little bit more sweetness sometimes, which make it, you know, slightly more of a crowd pleaser.
Got you.
Yeah.
Got you. That it's like really aromatic and it's really pretty and there's a whole bouquet of aromats going on in here, but then there's something really serious in the undertone, which I think is important to point out because it's definitely a crowd pleaser, Grenache, but this old bush vine, I mean bush vines in general are gnarly bloody vines, aren't they? They're just kind of like sitting there on the ground like this, and especially 90 years old, like they're thick and
it's huge.
They don't
small
produce
trees.
Like it's small yielding, so it's they produce very small amount of berries, but those berries are so concentrated in flavor and structure
100%.
as well, which I'm yet to take a sip. But I'm also I'm almost getting a little bit of earthiness or smokiness in the undertone
100%.
As well.
Those old vines will tend to bring, I'd say, less sort of a in-your-face aromas and so on, but something that's really, really subtle, something with a lot of layers and complexity. You 2023 vintage, which was slightly cooler in South Australia, not a big vintage as well. When you think about a cooler vintage or even a cooler area, think about, for me, you know, acidity straight away, freshness, acidity, and this is what you get here. But the interesting point is, I think a lot of people see not necessarily acidity not necessarily as an advantage. They will think, you know, the fruitier, the jammier, you know, the wine is, the better it is. I think, you know, having a wine with such a nice acidity, again, it has to be balanced with the fruit, it has to be balanced with the tannins. But when you have a wine like this, that is, that's the epitome of a well-balanced wine, this acidity makes you want to come back in your glass. You can't stop, you know, salivating, sipping. It's also very, again, another element where, you know, you can, you know, that helps you pair this wine with a lot of different types of dishes. It's, again, if you're on your journey to explore something different than, you know, your regular Barossa Shiraz or your regular sort of a bigger, you know, Grenaches, I think this is the one. You can really feel, you know, sort of the premium treatment that this wine has had as well. That length.
Yeah, my goodness, it's like, it's spicy on the finish. The spicy tannin, really, on the finish, and it's super, super long. This would age very, very well, and just over time, those spicy tannins would soften a little bit more. I actually quite enjoy that little bite that you get on the finish right now with it as it is now. I mean, this is recently modeled.
This is that for a first,
So yeah, I mean, gosh, how long? 10 years?
Oh, at least. Yeah. And this is one of the characteristics as well with those wines coming from old vines, is that their tendency to age very well. They have this potential because, again, there's not much of a heavy winemaking style behind, so you get this clean fruit throughout. It's a lovely drop. What would you have that with?
I almost want to have like a beef stroganoff.
Ah, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
With rice. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm something rich, actually, like a stew of some kind, even a tomato-based beef stew. That would be good, I reckon, with some mashed potato. Oh, shanks. I could go on for days.
Shanks.
What are you gonna have?
You know what? The more I try this one, the more I love the tannin structure. And those remind me of what you will get in, for instance, some Tempranillos. Tempranillos is a cousin of Grenache, right? Yeah. And so I'm just seeing myself having some Spanish tapas. Good
like
array,
chorizo,
exactly, jamon,
octopus.
exactly, octopus. It's again super versatile. Crowd pleaser as well. It's a lovely drop.
Haylock, 2022 Barossa Valley Shiraz.
Lovely.
Classic. I really love the story behind Haylock, which was a vineyard that winemaker Jane rescued in the Barossa, and it's in their block, like with their house. Yeah,
exactly.
They look at it every day. Yeah. It's so awesome.
20 years old vines, I think now.
Yes.
Yeah. Stonewell, so they are in this sort of sub-region over there. Very well-renowned region for making, outstanding Shirazes. I think speaking with Jane the other day, one thing that she really wanted to highlight as well is she wanted to let the fruit speak, and she didn't want to be too hands-on as well in terms of winemaking. Something interesting to note as well with Haylock is that we're only doing one wine. That shows the commitment and how much focus that they put in the bottle. That's a wine that's not in your face, that's not too jammy, too juby and so on. What do you think?
Yeah, because when you typically think of the Barossa, you do think big and jammy and bold, and there are elements of this that connect you to this being a Barossa Valley Shiraz for sure. But there's a bit more, I guess, elegance here in that it's like they're pulled back a little bit on that over-ripeness, so to speak, stuff that you can sometimes get. And you almost get something that is more on the medium to full body rather 100%. Than that complete, like, I need a chair to drink this. So lots of elegance, but also you get like a bit more perfume in there, rather than just stewed fruits. 100%. So there's a lot of complexity going on in the glass, which I just love, and a testament to, again, their TLC into making this wine as well.
You get almost like the crunchy red berries. Yeah. Basically, that's this crunchy bite, which I love. Again, in this wine. Same thing. It shows the craft. It shows the attention to detail. From Jen and Mark here. It's about picking the grape at the right time. So that they don't let the grape, being too ripe, preserve the natural acidity of the wine, the freshness. Such a clean fruit. Again, for me, that's a big sort of mark of the quality of the wine is the fruit cleanliness. You make sure you don't have a defect there, and the tannins are already pretty soft. I love the velvet sort of a mouthfeel as well.
Definitely.
Still has some character because of the acidity, because of this specific bite, which makes it pretty unique. In the scope of all the Barossa Shirazes that we have, you don't have any sort of perception of oak that is not integrated and so on. It's
with the fruit, it's all
exactly
like
well
harmony
concentrated, put together 100%.
Working together really nicely, and I think this is a really good time to be releasing this vintage as well. It's had a bit of time maturing, but it's also had a little bit of time in bottle now as well. So stunning, absolutely stunning wine. You definitely know you're in the Barossa, but there is a lot of elements of refinement that's gone into this wine. I mean, where are you drinking this? Are you classic winter? I mean, you know, we're going into spring. So.
Yeah, exactly. Or spring or fall. You know, this is actually which is hard sometimes. I mean, personally, you know, to drink Shiraz from the Barossa by itself, I can drink that, you know, as it is now. It's the probably two tips again on this one is make sure that it's not, you know, too warm, you know, in the room when you're doing that. This is just at the perfect temperature now. I wouldn't say it's slightly chill, but that's just, you know, spot on. And also decant that wine. Definitely decant that wine. You know, it's only going to give you more personality, more layers, and so on. There's such a huge potential for this wine to age well as well. So keep a few bottles in your cupboard, and you'll only be rewarded for that.
And if it is too hot in your home when you're pulling this bottle out, you can put it in the fridge for like 5-10 minutes just to take the edge off it a little bit, because you should be serving this at room temperature, and room temperature in Australia is a lot warmer than the standard room temperature, which is like 16 to 18 degrees. So especially as we're going into the warmer months. So if you don't have a wine fridge, just pop it in to keep it in. Just pop it in the fridge for 5-10 minutes. It'll just take that little edge off it, and that means that you get to experience those bright fruit characteristics as well, which is why we've also moved to still a big red wine glass, but it doesn't have the bell bottom that we have here, because we want to experience the red fruit characteristics that's retained with having this more. Here's my lack of terminology. Straight up and down, top bit. Yeah. But you're still in a bit of a bigger glass to be able to aerate the red wine as well and let it open up. But you want to be able to experience the fruit characteristics as well, not just the structure of the wine, which is just the tannins. So.
So food pairing comes to mind. Yeah.
I keep trying to think of something fancy, but all I can think about is a barbecue. And I was in Mudgee with my family on the weekend, and we had it was like this. We had like 5 or 6 different bottles of wine, and like there was just a feast of like Hasselback potatoes in like a cream cheese sauce, and there was sausages and eye fillet and lamb chops and your classic kind of leafy salad, and this would go awesome with that array of meat.
I feel terrible. I didn't get the invite.
Well, family only.
But I mean, you've said it. I mean, sausages, any sort of beef fillet on the barbecue, lamb would go very, very well. It's stunning. Honestly.
Take it to your next barbecue, because spring is the start of barbecue season. So take it around to your mate's place for the next barbecue, because it'll go well.
100%. And one thing I'll say, if you have the chance to unpack and drink this 6-pack, together with your friend, the progression we've had, it's just like and well, this is something we should have mentioned, but this is also what was doing this unboxing. We are really trying to give you the natural sort of progression when it comes to tasting. So you can put the sparkling wine not necessarily at the beginning. It could be with cheese. Also recommend the whites, as I said, with cheese. But when it comes to red, start with the Pinot Noir, then the Grenache, then the Shiraz, and then.
LTD, Luke Tokachu Direct, absolutely stunning reserve 2019 Cabernet from Coonawarra. Do you get more Aussie than that?
Maybe not. But I'll tell you what, guys, I'm so stoked to taste 2019.
Oh yeah.
Which I consider that to be what we call back vintage. Cabernet overall is probably one of the varietals you can age, that has the most aging potential, I'll say. Cabernet from Coonawarra.
20+ years too,
exactly. At least. And those are some of the most fascinating tasting experiences that I've had, where with Cabernet, all Cabernets, whether it's from Australia, the US, or France. Cabernet from Coonawarra, it's like, you know, almost the Shiraz from the Barossa. It's a match in heaven, you know, in between the terroir, so the subsoil, the soil, you know, the slopes, the aspects and so on, but also with the natural, you know, elements, you know, the climate and so on. So this was meant to be. The terroir Rosa soil that they have over there is perfect to grow Cabernet. So really stoked to share this wine with you because again, that's a very small batch, direct from Luc cellar. 2019 was a really good vintage in the Coonawarra area as well. And again, as you said, you know, Luc grew, you know, in the Coonawarra area. You know, his father used to make wine in the Coonawarra area for years. So there's this expertise, there's this wealth of knowledge, you know, that has gone through generation over
older
there.
Vines too.
Older
I think
vines
these
as well.
are like 60 years old.
Yeah.
Which is just bananas. So again, older vines create grapes that are low yielding, but a lot of concentration of flavour.
So I know you're a big fan of Cabernet.
I'm a big fan of Cabernet. And the reason is, it's especially Coonawarra Cabernet, it's so quintessential Australian. You smell Cabernet and you know it's Cabernet because it's got that awesome herbaceousness to it. Classic Coonawarra is that eucalyptus. Smells straight from the glass. It's like you can smell the soil that this was grown in.
Yeah, but I mean, I could spend minutes, like, you know, finding, or this is a wine where you would put, you know, 20 people around, you know, table, and they would all give you, you know, different, you know, taste or smell.
Yeah, definitely.
This is complex. This is, you can tell, this is rich. This is opulent. This is elegant. There's this lovely sort of oaky, you know, flavor here, but again, you know, this not overpowering, you know, the over the fruit here. You just by smelling it, you know you're in for a treat.
Definitely. And especially aged like this, 2019, you're not only getting those primary characteristics, which are the fruit characteristics and from the grape, you've got secondary characteristics, which is from the winemaking, so the oak, and then you're starting to get these awesome little tertiary characteristics, which is from bottle age,
100%.
which is really cool, which you can actually tell from the colour straight up that you look in the glass, but as soon as you start to smell and taste it, you're like, It's sometimes known as the donut wine. It's got all of this structure going on. It's got the high tannin, high alcohol, big black fruits, and then it's missing like the mid palate, like the juiciness. So a winemaker that can fill that space is what I'm looking for in a Cabernet, so that it kind of goes against what you think about with Cabernet being a donut wine, and Luc definitely does that. I mean, that mid palate is filled with juby fruits and clean fruit, but also I'm salivating
100%.
at the same time as well.
Still some acidity in there.
Still some acidity, yeah.
Well, I can tell. Look at didn't leave any space on this one.
No.
I got this incredible after, I don't know if you know that, after 8 smell. So sort of this chocolate plus mint, but chocolate cake. You get the, again, so complex. You get some cigar box aromas as well, some tobacco leaves, dark chocolate, and so on. It's absolutely awesome. When I think about Cabernet myself, my head goes straight into the tannins. So the tannins is this very specific feeling that you get after tasting the wine, you know, that's left on your tongue. So almost some people would call it dryness, basically. But you have different type of tannins. And here you have those. You can feel the tannin. There's a lovely tannin structure into this. That calls for a little bit more aging. So this wine again can, you know, you can sell that for 10, 20, 30 years. But it's nice and soft, you know, and again well integrated with the fruit, with the acidity. It's absolutely gorgeous. So what a wine! Yeah.
What a wine. The other reason I love Cabernet, and I don't know if many people think of this, but it can go with so many different foods in terms of like entree, main, dessert. I actually think of Cabernet for dessert a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Because of that tannin structure, I actually want something sweet. Like I could have a sticky date pudding with that, easy.
Yeah.
Mud cake with cream.
Tiramisu.
Hello, tiramisu.
Yeah.
Or like even, you know, after dinner charcuteries that you do. That's what I think of with Cabernet, because I actually think sweetness really supports this high alcohol, high tannin wine that Cabernet is.
100%. Yeah.
I mean,
What a classic.
it is a classic, and I feel so
Yeah.
suave as
Yeah.
well when I drink Cabernet, and especially something that's been so well looked after. It's been aged for you, but you can keep aging it as well if you want. So kind of like all these wines in this pack, you could buy 6 of each and just try one of each every year, because you're going to be able to experience the journey of this on and on and on.
Yeah.
It's going to just be a pack of 6 that keep going
Journey.
and going and going and giving you gifts every year,
100%.
I think.
Good wine also to put in the decanter, even though
Yes.
it has had some age, you know, it's only going to benefit from, you know, about 15 to 20 minutes in the decanter, more details coming in. There's such a complexity, natural complexity with this wine. Again, lovely progression. If you love a big, you know, bold, complex red wine, I mean, if you love Cabernet, look no further. This is an absolute gem.
This
Yeah.
is a wonderful gift as well.
Yeah.
Like if you're not
Very
a big
unique.
Cabernet lover,
Yeah.
because it's kind of like Chardonnay in a way. It can split the room, and this is the typical Coonawarra style. So if this isn't for you in particular, give this as a
Yeah.
gift, because this is a beautiful bottle to give away to somebody special. Yeah, we just went through 6 delectable wines. My
Amazing,
goodness.
yeah. Delicious to drink now. We've seen, you know, some of the aging potential.
Yeah.
We've seen the food versatility that some of these wines have to offer. And I think this is a good representation of what we want, you know, all Fine Wine Club members to experience, is really to showcase, you know, what all winemakers are doing best in their own areas. Some winemakers, I'm thinking about, you know, Luke, for instance, is a specialist of Cabernet because of the area he's in. Same thing with Jane, you know, pretty much all of them, everyone. So
yeah.
this is really a true representation of what, you know, we want to share with you, and the pleasure we have when we are tasting those amazing wines. Really, what all winemakers, you know,
And I
have
think
to
as
offer.
well, what we just did, and kind of always relaying back to, if you had some people over and you had all of these open and you did that tasting with your friends or family start to finish, a pack that kind of represents a whole night as well is something that we really like to do.
Yeah.
You know, some bottles that are great to give away as a gift, but also wines that are definitely going to go with some very different types of food, no matter who you have over, what kind of dinner party or lunch or barbecue that you're putting on. Something that's going to go along with an array of foods is what we're looking to put forward.
100%,
as well.
yeah, and we also take into consideration, I think, seasonality.
Definitely.
That you can also pair with food, you know,
Yeah,
and
in the
I guess,
season,
you
yeah.
know, in the season. As we said, you know, those wines, some of these wines are absolutely amazing to be aged. Thinking about this Cabernet and so on. So really, some of the finest drops we've experienced with, you know, across our tastings and so on. We are really proud to showcase in this 6-pack. So hope you enjoy.
Cheers to you guys.